Well, they're coming after your food. They're coming after the world food supply. And if you don't realize that by now, I think it's time you started realizing it and planning for it. Good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? I'm Steve Smith. It's snowing outside. It is beautiful. It snowed yesterday and it's snowing again, and I love snow and it makes me happy. But this is not a happy subject to talk about. It's irritating. It's infuriating. Whenever you deal with stupid or evil people, it gets you going, right? And we do need to get going. I just put up. By the way, have you all ever seen the movie Soylent Green? It's a classic from the 70s. It's about, when food runs out and people are eating Soylent Green, and it's from the that's where the saying "Soylent Green is people" comes from. If you haven't watched it, you can probably find it on YouTube or Tubi or Netflix or something like that. Watch it. Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson. I think. I'm not sure. Anyway. It's a precursor of what is happening in much of the world and what could be happening to us in the Western world. We hope not, but they're trying to take us there. I just put up, excuse me a second. I had to clear my throat. It's early in the morning, and I have been off the carnivore diet now for a couple of days because I've been eating Christmas food, right? All those cakes and pies and dressing and potatoes and desserts and all that. And of course, it's not good for you. So I'm clearing my throat. Anyway, I just put up last night for on the Patreon channel for our patrons a Rumble video. Who's calling me? Okay, a Rumble video put out by Tedros, the Secretary General of the World Health Organization. Who? Yes, the World Health Organization. His name is Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Have you ever noticed that the Secretary Generals of any of these worldwide organizations, which are all commie organizations, of course, you can't pronounce their names? You ever noticed that, at least in recent history? I've told this story before, but we were down visiting aunts in Texas, Lubbock, to be specific, years ago when I was a kid, and we'd gone to church, and then we went to eat at some diner, I don't remember. It was the kind of place back then. A lot of places had these paper placemats, under each setting, and this one had flags of the world around it, and my aunt, who had been in either the Navy or the Marines, I forget which, back in World War II, as a nurse. All of a sudden, she was a ramrod of a woman, and she was, she was loving but tight, and it was like, I love you, Steve, that kind of thing. She wasn't cuddly at all. She was raw. And all of a sudden, she stood up and she said, "We are leaving. We are not eating here." And of course, nobody knew what was going on, but everybody stood up and out we go. And because we were guests, it was the Texas side of the family down there, and out we go. And what the deal was, she'd looked down there on that placemat, and among the flags of many of the countries of the world was the flag of the United Nations. And she says, "I am not eating in a place that has the flag of the United Nations on their placemats." She was way ahead of her time. This was early 60s. Okay, so now let's get back to this. So I put up this video, Rumble. You can find it on video on Rumble, but if you're with us on Patreon, I hope you are. If you're not, please come join us. You'd like it. Links down below. Last night for the patrons, and it was this Tedros, whatever his name is, explaining that our food system is destroying the planet. It accounts for 30% or something. I forget, whatever, around there. 30% of all greenhouse gases. You've heard this spiel before. And he goes on and says, well, we have to change our food supply to a healthier, more diverse, plant-based diet. And then and of course you all know that that's ridiculous. Plant-based is a horrible diet. It's a way, if you want, this is part of what has demasculated men over the last couple of generations. A decrease ever since this food pyramid came out, which is totally backwards, upside down. And maybe I'll make one on why they brought that about. It was part of the destruction of our society, because a grain-based and then vegetables and all that with just a little bit of protein emasculates men. That's the cause for the decline in the testosterone. That's the decline for manliness in men. And of course, they've planned this for a long time. A lot of this came out of the SDA, if you're not familiar with that, the Seventh-day Adventist group. If there's any Adventists out here listening, I don't mean that to offend you, and you may know this or you may not know this about, what was the woman's name? I forget what her name is, the one they consider the prophet of their church. I forget her name, but she, along with Kellogg, are the ones who developed this grain-based, and of course he was a start at Kellogg's. They were very concerned with sexual immorality, and they were really the precursors of so-called toxic masculinity. They wanted to make men more like women. I'll put something up about that. Anthony Chaffee talks about that in detail. Anyway, aside from that, you know that a plant-based diet is very unhealthy, and it's you hear my throat right now. Okay, it keeps coming back. That's because I've been eating crap for the last couple of days. I've been eating plant-based stuff because, potatoes and gravy and orange rolls and cinnamon rolls and cakes and pies and all that kind of stuff is not what we're meant to eat on. So I'm going to clear it again. And as soon as I'm done with all the leftovers, does that make it kind of clear? As soon as I'm done eating all the leftovers, I'll get back on the carnivore diet. The leftovers are just too good. You know what I mean. Just too good. Then I'll get back on it and you'll see the difference. So you know that a plant-based diet is horrible. And interestingly enough, many in the preparedness world push a plant-based diet, and I'm going to be talking about in a future one exactly how bad that is. Beans and rice and all the things that and what they garden. Okay, and I'm going to talk more about how ranching is more the way you want to go rather than gardening, or at least raising animals. You need animal protein, not plant protein. Well, anyway, so Tedros Boutros Ghali, or whatever his stinking name, I know Boutros Ghali was another one of those guys whose name had a funny name that I think was Secretary General of the UN years ago. So we need to go to a more diverse, healthier, plant-based diet. And then he goes on to say this will save 800 million or 8 million. I think it's just 8 million people a year. This will save 8 million lives per year. Well, we know that their purpose is to depopulate the planet, right? But they also know, because they're smart. And my question that I put up over there on Patreon was, are these people stupid or evil? Take your pick. Well, they're not stupid. They're smart and they're evil. They know that by packaging this in the message of we are going to save lives, it's kind of like Save the Children, that it's going to appeal to the masses because the masses are uneducated. They are either willfully or unwillfully ignorant about most of the things in the world. And if you simply say, we need to do this to save lives, they're going to jump on board, right? In the same way that they got you to tie yourself up in your own car. And not saying that seatbelts aren't wise, but that's the way they got a law, to make you do it, as opposed to allowing you the opportunity and the choice to do it. So we see where this is headed. And he says he is so proud that 130 countries, most of whom, I mean, who knows how many countries there are at any given moment in the world, right? Yeah, there's 200 and some. I mean, there's a lot more than there used to be. Every time you turn around, there's a new country. And he says 130 countries have joined this movement. And of course, that's going to make a lot of people say, well, it's kind of like the Paris Accords and the Rio and all that. Well, all these countries are doing it. So Americans and you Australians and you Canadians and you Western Europeans, most of the stupid people in your countries are going to go, well, the rest of the world does it. We should do it too, because if the rest of the world does it, that means it's good. And they're ignorant. So he's proud that 130 countries. Most of these countries don't have the GDP of Kentucky. They're just little squat countries, or they're driven by the big commie countries who use these others as their little willing satellites to drive these things. First thing we need to do, of course, is get out of the United Nations. This is not going to be political, but I said years ago, years before Trump ever even thought about running for president, 30 years ago, I said they need to kick out the United Nations. They need to make them pay all their bills. They need to make them pay all their stinking traffic tickets up there in New York. And they need to give that building to Trump to turn into a hotel and get the hell out of the United Nations. See what's happening to my voice again? Just a second. So if Tedros Gahudabad, or whatever his stinking name is, gets his way, that's, people are going to keep having health problems. Most of the health problems out there are as a result of lifestyle, as a result of diet. The obesity out there is because people sit around and eat, sit on their butts, and the decrease in our physical abilities comes down, the decrease in masculinity, the decrease even in femininity. In many cases will come down as a result of what the American diet has become. And the diet, people always talk about how fat Americans are. Have you ever gone to other countries? America has no unique claim on obesity. Go to other countries. Yeah. They got nothing to crank on America about. So he's after your food. That's the thing. And we know that this has been a normal warning in the preparedness world for some time. We know that ever since, people started being concerned that Bill Gates was buying all the farmland. We know that as they shut down the fertilizer production, we know as all of the food plants started exploding, right? Yeah. This has been coming. But now they are actually marketing this with the Secretary General of WHO. There shouldn't even be a WHO. And they're going to be successful. They are going to be successful because they know how to work the masses. You see, most of the people in preparedness are not, well, and they like to think, well, we're not sheep. Well, I'll tell you what, in many cases, many of you are. And I'm pointing at the ones who are, not the rest of you. Many people in the preparedness world, sadly, will jump on board with all sorts of idiotic ideas without using their reasoning ability and figuring this out. And I'm going to be talking in the future about the biggest myths of preparedness, and it's going to get people killed if they keep believing this stuff. Anyway, that's not this video. This video, you know what they're coming after. They're coming after your food. They're coming after the worldwide food. You combine the control of food with their will to control the planet, global control, and their desire is for this entire world to be one prison planet to steal the the term from Alex Jones, really a prison planet, so that the separations, or at least the countries who for a long time kept themselves free from global interference, will knuckle under as a result of support from their ignorant masses, and lower their shields, and become part of the one big global mess. How do you fight this? You have to be your own food producer. Now, I know that right now somebody wants some of these, and here's another problem in the preparedness world. There are so many people in the preparedness world that have such a negative idea, mindset, let me put it that way, mindset, that no matter what you say, no matter what solution you offer, they will tell you it can't be done. Those people are losers. Let me just put it like that. Those people, don't listen to them. No matter what you say, you can say, well, you're going to be talk about money. When I say you need to make more money, you need to stack your cash, they will come on and say, your cash isn't going to be any good, That's because they don't have any and they don't want to work for it. So they want everybody to come down to their level, right, rather than putting in the work to come, to rise up themselves. And when we talk about, you need to become your own food producer, you need to have food stocks that will last you years. Okay? And the reason for that, well, many reasons, but the reasons for that is because the purpose of your food stocks is to keep you alive until you can produce all of the food that you need. But there could be other things, other more temporary things, that you will, a temporary or even long-term, but temporary reduction of food delivery, a collapse of the food delivery systems. You have to have stored food, or be currently able to produce all your food your own. And even then, to have food stored is a safety mechanism that most of you understand. So that's what you want to do. You want to have a lot of stored food. You want to have it in a place, and they'll come, well, they're just going to come take your food because, under Article such and such in the NDAA, if there's an emergency, they can come and take all your food for the public good. Well, I wrote a chapter about that, as a matter of fact, in my first book, The Reversion. Let me show you this. The Reversion, I had a chapter in there where a National Guard lieutenant or captain, I forget, captain, I think, tried to come to Stonemont and inventory, and for the purpose, and he had explained to him very, very, in a superior fashion that those people have, the importance of knowing where all the resources were so that they could be properly distributed to the people who need it. And of course, what happened to him is he got shot in the head at the dinner table. By the way, if you haven't read my books, you'd like them. I'll tell you about them in a minute. Produce. Realize now they are coming after the food on a global level. You need to position yourself so that you have food to last you a long time, and then produce your food. If you don't live on a farm, if you don't live on a ranch, you can still do a lot. If you don't live out or have access to animal protein, you're not going to eat as well. You're not going to live as well. If you've only stocked, rice and beans and all those survival foods and things like that, you're not going to do well. Your health is going to deteriorate. The more animal protein you get in you, the better off you're going to do. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be more resilient. Okay. So that's the warning of today. I do talk about, and how to do it. People will say, well, I don't know how to do it, and it can't be done and all that. Well, I give you the master plan right here in my books, the Stonemount series, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. And yes, I am working on the 7th, but I've been so busy for the last few months. It's hit a stalling point. It's not stalled, but I've had to put it over to the side. Somebody asked me the other day, when's number 7 going to be ready? Sometime this spring, when things slow down for me here in a few weeks. Then I get back to writing, and we'll get number 7 out. But this is packed. It's not just a good story. It's packed full of all of so much preparedness, survival lessons. I tell people this is the complete plan and guide for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. You can get them through Amazon. The link is down below in the information section. Or you can get them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. If you want them fast, get them from Amazon. They'll get them to you fast. If you want them signed but slower, uh, order from me. And I love for people to do that because I love to be able to sign the books. I love my relationship with my readers, just like I do with my viewers here. And sometimes I run out sometimes, and then I've got to order more and wait for them to come in. But as soon as they come in, then I sign them and I get them out to you. So fast from Amazon, signed from me. That link is also down below. Okay, guys, they're coming after you. You know that. You know that. But you have to do something. Don't ever think that it can't be dealt with. If you don't think that anything can be done about this, well, then you've already given up, and you won't do anything about it. And you can't have that. That is a slow suicide. Giving yourself over to the whims of other people is not the way you were meant to live. Don't accept that nothing can be done. Think about what can be done, and then get out there and get at doing it. Okay? All right. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparing well means keeping track of what is going on, who's after you, and then deciding what you need to do to guard against that, defend against that, and then doing it. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.